There are, in every walk of life, those who strive to shine, and then there are those who seek that light at the expense of others. Let's not pretend otherwise. The industry, as luminous as it may.
In the rarefied world of Hollywood royalty, where power dynamics and subtle power plays often remain hidden behind carefully crafted public personas, a seismic shift occurred when Cate Blanchett, one of cinema's most respected figures, found herself at odds with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. The conflict emerged not from a simple professional disagreement, but from what appears to be a calculated campaign of professional sabotage that struck at the very heart of Cate's artistic legacy. For over a decade, Cate had maintained an iconic partnership with Chanel, embodying the brand's essence through her timeless elegance and artistic integrity. This relationship reached its zenith in 2021, when she signed a multi-season contract to lead Chanel's prestigious Women in Cinema campaign, featuring a deeply personal short film written by her husband Andrew Upton. The project represented more than just another endorsement deal. It was a celebration of cinematic heritage and creative collaboration, meticulously planned for months with all elements seemingly in place. The first indication that something was amiss came during what should have been a routine promotional event in Paris. As Cate prepared to unveil her husband's short film at a private dinner hosted by Chanel, she discovered that Blake Lively had suddenly been announced as the evening's brand honoree. The timing and manner of this change were suspicious. Chanel's PR team had allegedly informed Cate's representatives about a change in campaign direction, industry code for being replaced without cause. What made this replacement particularly egregious was how Blake's subsequent campaign retained significant elements of Cate's original concept, merely adding superficial modifications like motivational quotes and red lipstick to create the illusion of difference. Industry insiders reported that even members of Chanel's own creative team expressed shock at the abrupt transition, with leaked communications suggesting Blake's team had offered a cross-platform deal that Chanel couldn't ignore. The situation took an even darker turn when an unapproved feature piece in a British fashion magazine accidentally published, revealing details about Andrew Upton's short film and Cate's involvement in the original project. Though the article was quickly removed, the damage was done. Screenshots circulated widely on social media, fueling accusations that Blake had effectively stolen Cate's creative work. The incident became particularly painful when Blake, sitting just feet away from Cate at the Paris dinner, reportedly dismissed Andrew's script as beautiful but a little outdated. This casual dismissal of years of creative labor wasn't just professionally devastating, it cut to the core of Cate's identity as an artist who has spent decades preserving and celebrating cinematic heritage. What transformed this professional conflict into something far more insidious was the apparent systematic nature of the alleged sabotage. Sources close to the production revealed that Blake's team didn't merely capitalize on a single opportunity, but executed a comprehensive strategy to undermine Cate's position. They orchestrated a complete rebranding of the campaign while retaining its fundamental structure, creating a narrative that positioned Blake as the savior of Chanel's modern image, rather than acknowledging the foundation laid by Cate's work. The calculated precision of these moves suggested coordination at multiple levels within both Blake's camp and Chanel's corporate structure, indicating that this wasn't a spontaneous decision but part of a broader pattern of behavior. The personal dimension of this betrayal added layers of complexity to the professional conflict. Cate Blanchett, known for her quiet dignity and measured responses, found herself facing opponents who operated with a different set of ethical guidelines. While she approached her work with Chanel as a sacred trust, protecting the brand's heritage, while contributing her own artistic vision, her replacements seemed to view it as a conquest to be claimed regardless of collateral damage. The contrast between these approaches highlighted deeper cultural divides within Hollywood's power structures, pitting traditional values of artistic integrity against modern strategies of brand domination. As the situation unfolded, it became clear that this wasn't merely about losing an endorsement deal. It represented a fundamental challenge to Cate's place in Hollywood's hierarchy and the respect traditionally afforded to established artists. The fallout from this professional betrayal extended far beyond the confines of Chanel's marketing department, sending shockwaves through Hollywood's delicate ecosystem of creative relationships. When news of the alleged sabotage broke, the entertainment industry reacted with a mixture of disbelief and alarm. Longtime industry professionals expressed particular concern about the precedent this set for how established artists could expect to be treated in an increasingly transactional Hollywood landscape. Veteran producers and directors noted that Cate Blanchett's experience marked a dangerous shift, where loyalty and artistic contribution could be discarded overnight in favor of flashier, more commercially viable alternatives. Regardless of the existing commitments or the damage done to professional reputations, Blake Lively's rapid ascension within Chanel's orbit raised eyebrows across multiple sectors of the entertainment and fashion industries. Industry watchers pointed out that her takeover wasn't an isolated incident but part of a pattern where powerful celebrity couples would leverage their combined influence to systematically displace established figures. Several high-profile designers privately expressed discomfort with how Blake's team negotiated deals, describing tactics that bordered on coercive. One prominent fashion house executive recounted how Blake's representatives allegedly threatened to pull significant advertising dollars unless their demands were met, demonstrating a level of corporate muscle unusual for actors traditionally considered outside the executive suite's domain. The impact on Chanel itself proved equally concerning. Employees within the company's creative departments reported increased tension and turnover following the controversial campaign switch. Multiple sources described a chilling effect on creative teams, who now felt pressured to conform to a new standard of aggressive commercialism rather than pursue authentic artistic collaborations. The brand's longtime association with artistic heritage and craftsmanship appeared to be giving way to a more calculated approach focused solely on maximizing immediate returns. This shift manifested in several subsequent campaigns that industry veterans criticized as lacking the depth and sophistication that had previously defined Chanel's marketing efforts. Perhaps most troubling was the ripple effect throughout Hollywood's creative community. Established actors began reporting similar experiences of being pushed aside by younger celebrities backed by powerful management teams. A notable instance involved a veteran actress who claimed she was removed from a major directorial project after Blake's team allegedly pressured studio executives to reconsider their choice. These incidents created an atmosphere of uncertainty and fear among working professionals, many of whom now felt compelled to align themselves with powerful celebrity factions to protect their careers. The traditional mentorship relationships and collaborative networks that had sustained Hollywood's creative culture for generations started showing signs of strain as artists found themselves forced to choose sides in an increasingly polarized environment. The situation took an even darker turn when additional allegations emerged about Blake and Ryan's treatment of colleagues on various projects. Former collaborators spoke of a pattern where the couple would allegedly use their combined influence to isolate targeted individuals, creating hostile work environments that made continued collaboration nearly impossible. These accounts painted a picture of systemic manipulation extending far beyond the Chanel incident, suggesting that Cate Blanchett's experience might represent just one battle in a larger war being waged against Hollywood's traditional power structures. As more stories surfaced, industry insiders began warning of a fundamental transformation in how creative professionals could expect to navigate their careers in an era where celebrity influence seemed to outweigh artistic merit. Cate Blanchett's response to the alleged sabotage demonstrated remarkable strategic acumen, transforming what could have been a career-ending setback into a masterclass in dignified resistance. Rather than engaging in public warfare or descending into tabloid drama, she channeled her energies into crafting a subtle yet devastating counter-narrative that would ultimately expose the hollow nature of her opponent's victory. Her first move, though seemingly passive, carried significant weight. She simply showed up at Chanel's Paris dinner with grace and poise, refusing to allow the controversy to diminish her presence. Industry insiders noted how her calm demeanor and professional conduct throughout the evening served as a stark contrast to the manufactured drama surrounding Blake's campaign launch, effectively highlighting the disparity between genuine artistry and calculated spectacle. Behind the scenes, Cate orchestrated a series of calculated artistic decisions that would speak volumes to those paying attention. In June 2023, she and her husband Andrew premiered an original two-person play at the Sydney Theatre Company, deliberately avoiding any grand promotional fanfare. The play's title change from lines that weren't meant to be read to the credits sent ripples through theatrical circles, with many interpreting it as a sophisticated commentary on artistic appropriation. The production's intimate nature and limited audience, composed primarily of devoted theater enthusiasts rather than industry elites, underscored Cate's commitment to authentic artistic expression over commercial validation. Notably, she declined numerous interview requests surrounding the play's premiere, allowing the work itself to serve as her primary statement. Her most potent weapon emerged during a low-profile humanitarian award acceptance speech in Berlin, where she delivered what would become one of Hollywood's most quoted lines of recent memory. There's a difference between honoring a story and owning it like it was always yours. One builds legacy, the other builds ego. Though the speech was quickly removed from online platforms, the quote spread rapidly through industry circles, resonating particularly with creatives who had witnessed similar patterns of professional appropriation. The timing and context of her words, delivered during a ceremony celebrating genuine human connection and service, amplified their impact, positioning her response within a framework of artistic integrity and moral authority. Cate's counter-offensive extended beyond public statements to include strategic career moves that subtly undermined her opponent's position. She began collaborating with emerging artists and designers, using her platform to champion new voices in fashion and cinema. This approach not only strengthened her network of support, but also demonstrated her continued relevance and influence within creative communities. Industry observers noted how her choices consistently emphasized substance over spectacle, creating a clear distinction between her approach to art and commerce versus the more commercially driven tactics employed by her alleged saboteurs. Perhaps most significantly, Cate maintained absolute silence regarding the specific details of her Chanel experience, understanding that the absence of direct confrontation would keep the focus on the quality of her work rather than descending into public mudslinging. This restraint proved particularly effective as Blake's campaign began to unravel under the weight of increasing public scrutiny. The contrast between Cate's steady professionalism and the growing controversies surrounding her replacement became impossible to ignore, ultimately serving as its own form of vindication. By refusing to engage in petty retaliation and instead focusing on substantive artistic contributions, Cate effectively turned the revelation of Blake Lively's alleged pattern of workplace misconduct cast a long shadow over her carefully cultivated public image, exposing a disturbing history of behavior that extended far beyond her conflict with Cate Blanchett. Industry insiders began coming forward with accounts of Blake's treatment of co-stars and crew members during the production of Gossip Girl, painting a picture of systematic bullying that had apparently gone unchecked for years. Executive producer Joshua Safran's carefully worded statements about personality differences between Blake and co-star Leighton Meester took on new meaning when viewed through the lens of recently surfaced interview footage. In these clips, Blake's attempts at humor often crossed into uncomfortable territory, with jokes about Leighton's birth circumstances and comparisons of other cast members to monkeys in a cage drawing visibly awkward reactions from her colleagues. The allegations gained additional credibility when Armie Hammer publicly addressed his departure from Gossip Girl during an appearance on Andy Cohen's show. While initially hesitant to elaborate, Hammer's body language and carefully chosen words spoke volumes about his experience working alongside Blake. His description of the set as a tough show to film, and his early exit from the project aligned with previous rumors about Blake's demanding behavior and alleged tantrums over minor production details. Sources close to the production revealed that Blake had reportedly insisted on controlling every aspect of her character's portrayal, frequently clashing with directors over creative decisions and allegedly attempting to influence casting choices for supporting roles. The scope of these allegations expanded further when former collaborators began sharing their experiences of Blake's influence extending beyond mere diva behavior into more calculated forms of professional manipulation. Reports emerged suggesting that Blake actively worked to isolate certain cast members, particularly Penn Badgley, by spreading negative impressions about them to other actors and crew members from the moment they arrived on set. This tactic reportedly created an unnecessarily hostile environment that took weeks to overcome, with Badgley eventually proving to be nothing like the difficult personality Blake had initially described him as being. Most damning were the revelations surrounding Blake's interactions with director Justin Baldoni during the production of It Ends With Us. According to multiple sources, Blake allegedly attempted to rewrite entire scenes without permission and threatened legal action when her changes weren't implemented. The situation escalated to the point where she reportedly enlisted the support of Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds to pressure Baldoni into compliance, demonstrating a willingness to leverage her personal relationships for professional gain. Industry veterans expressed particular concern about how Blake allegedly exploited contractual loopholes to position herself as a potential replacement for directing responsibilities, suggesting a level of premeditation that went beyond typical creative disagreements. These accounts collectively painted a picture of a workplace environment where professional boundaries were regularly crossed and power dynamics manipulated to maintain control. Former assistants and production staff described a climate of fear where speaking out against Blake's behavior could result in immediate termination or blacklisting from future projects. The consistency of these allegations across multiple productions and time periods suggested that these incidents represented not isolated lapses in judgment but rather a sustained pattern of behavior that had been tolerated, if not enabled, by industry power structures for years. As more stories emerged, the entertainment community faced difficult questions about how such conduct had been allowed to persist unchecked within supposedly professional environments. The repercussions of these revelations rippled through Hollywood's power structures, triggering a cascade of consequences that extended far beyond the immediate fallout for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Industry insiders report a noticeable shift in how talent agencies and production companies approach client management, with many implementing stricter oversight mechanisms and behavioral guidelines for their top-tier clients. Several major studios have begun incorporating professional conduct clauses into contracts, empowering producers to terminate agreements based on verified patterns of workplace misconduct. This represents a significant departure from traditional practices where box office draw and social media influence often outweighed considerations of professional behavior. The financial implications have proven particularly severe. Brands that once eagerly sought partnerships with high-profile celebrity couples are now exercising unprecedented caution, conducting thorough background investigations before finalizing endorsement deals. Multiple sources confirm that several lucrative sponsorship opportunities have been quietly withdrawn from consideration following the emergence of these allegations. Luxury fashion houses, in particular, have become markedly more conservative in their selection processes, prioritizing long-term brand alignment over short-term social media engagement metrics. Chanel's market performance since the controversy serves as a cautionary tale, with analysts noting a measurable decline in consumer confidence that has prompted an internal restructuring of their celebrity partnership division. Perhaps most significantly, there's evidence of a fundamental realignment in Hollywood's power dynamics. Established artists like Cate Blanchett have reportedly formed informal alliances with other industry veterans to create alternative support networks, effectively bypassing traditional power structures that had previously enabled problematic behavior. This movement has gained momentum as more mid-level professionals come forward with their own experiences of workplace intimidation, creating a groundswell of support for systemic reform. Industry organizations have responded by establishing anonymous reporting channels and independent review boards to address complaints of professional misconduct, marking a departure from the historical practice of handling such matters internally. The impact on upcoming projects has been equally pronounced. Several high-profile productions have undergone significant personnel changes, with directors and producers reportedly requesting alternative casting options rather than risk potential disruptions. Insurance premiums for productions involving certain celebrities have reportedly increased dramatically, reflecting the industry's growing awareness of the financial risks associated with unchecked celebrity influence. Meanwhile, a new generation of artists is emerging who prioritize collaborative work environments and transparent professional relationships, signaling a potential paradigm shift in how Hollywood power is distributed and exercised. As the dust begins to settle on this Hollywood scandal, the entertainment industry finds itself at a crucial crossroads that may fundamentally redefine its operational landscape. The allegations against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have exposed vulnerabilities in Hollywood's traditional power structures that extend far beyond individual misconduct, illuminating systemic issues that have long been ignored or excused under the guise of creative differences. Industry veterans suggest that this moment represents an opportunity for meaningful reform, particularly in how professional relationships are managed and conflicts are addressed within creative environments. The implementation of stronger oversight mechanisms and accountability measures appears inevitable, with major studios already revising their operational protocols to include more robust behavioral standards and independent review processes. For Cate Blanchett, this ordeal has paradoxically strengthened her position within Hollywood's hierarchy, transforming her from a respected artist into a symbol of professional integrity and resilience. Her measured response to adversity has inspired a movement among established creatives to reclaim their industry from the forces of commercialization and unchecked celebrity influence. This shift is evident in the formation of new creative collectives and support networks that prioritize artistic authenticity over market-driven metrics, potentially heralding a return to Hollywood's roots as a bastion of genuine artistic expression. The long-term implications for celebrity culture appear particularly significant. As audiences become increasingly aware of the power dynamics behind their favorite productions, there's growing demand for transparency in how creative projects are developed and executed. This shift in public consciousness may force celebrities to adopt more accountable approaches to their professional conduct, recognizing that their influence carries corresponding responsibilities to maintain ethical standards. The luxury fashion industry in particular seems poised for transformation as brands reassess their reliance on celebrity endorsements, potentially returning to more traditional models of artisanal collaboration and heritage preservation. Looking ahead, the industry faces critical decisions about how to balance commercial viability with professional integrity. The emergence of new talent management paradigms suggests that future success will depend less on social media metrics and more on demonstrated ability to foster positive creative environments. As Hollywood navigates this period of transition, the lessons learned from this controversy may ultimately lead to a more sustainable and equitable entertainment ecosystem, one that honors both artistic excellence and professional ethics. The question remains whether this moment will be remembered as a watershed in Hollywood's evolution or merely a temporary disruption in its established order.